Welcome to week 11 of Steve's Shack. Got a lot to get to this episode, and I'd like it to not be any more than 15 minutes, but hopefully at least no more than 20. So let's get right to it. Gonna get into week 10. The Red Division starting to separate, the cream's rising to the top, I guess you could say, and the Blue Division looks like the playoff picture is pretty set, and both divisions, it's pretty much just that the next three games are the top two teams duking it out for the division and the bottom two for that last spot. Jared actually had a pretty decent game. I mean, as good of a game as you could expect, starting three tight ends in his game against Devin, but he never really stood a chance. If he would have started Arian Foster, which we can all safely assume he would have had he had access to a computer, he would have only lost to Devin by about 5 points. So, I mean, great showing for Jared, minus the fact that he didn't start his best player, but that could be attributed to his not being, anywhere in the state, and there's all those other things going on there. But as always, the story was from this game was Devin rolls. His team is pretty much immune to bad weeks. There's too much good happening, and Devin was really helped out by a 20-point showing from John Casey. Great game for Devin, great win, and ready to move on, hopefully continue his 4-game winning streak, and just get a chokehold on the division. Really nice team performance put together here by BG to just put Justin in his place. Justin, like we said, he lived in that 70 to 85 point range. He scored 75 this game. He got a real strong outing from Michael Bush. It just wasn't quite enough. BG had the regular 30 plus points from Aaron Rodgers. Rashard Mendenhall scored him some points, and Reggie Bush, whom BG acquired in a very late week trade, paid immediate dividends for BG and gave him 18 quick points. Ergo, he wins the game. So we'll see if Reggie Bush continues to produce the way he has been even after Daniel Thomas comes back. And if he does, then BG might have just solved the conundrum of his number 2 running back situation and really turned his team into something special. Really wasn't Jesse's best week in his game against Mike, but he managed to put together just enough to take care of business and get an 11-point victory. This game was just as much about Mike's team's inability to put together points as it was about Jesse's team's ability. Mike traded away Drew Brees, and we saw that really hurting him. He did end up getting a lot of depth for that. Rob Gronkowski and Jeremy Maclin and Ben Roethlisberger and AJ Green didn't end up being enough. For some reason, Mike traded and got Rob Gronkowski, but then proceeded not to start him. That's pretty much the reason Mike lost this game. Could be a very different picture in both the red and blue playoff chase had Mike made the decision to start Rob Gronkowski. But he didn't, and now Mike is left with a questionable Ben Roethlisberger and a 4-6 hole to climb out of. Luckily for him, Justin lost as well, so he really didn't lose any ground in that from that standpoint. Hedgie had his second best week of the season and avenged his 41-40 loss in week 1 to Kevin. Really solid game from Hedgie's team. The cool thing about this one was that he did it without Frank Gore. Larry Fitzgerald finally awoke, and Eli Manning put together a pretty decent performance, but the great performance really of the day was the Bears defense. 37 points and just a dagger in the gut of Kevin. So now Kevin saw his win streak cut short. his chances for clinching a playoff berth will have to be pushed back at least another 2 weeks. I found myself in a similar predicament to Mike, having just made bad decisions all around. I really was nervous about Tom Brady because of his just bad record against the Jets in the last couple of years. So I decided I had to pick between Mike Vick and Tim Tebow. Tebow's just, not throwing the ball very well. And no matter how much I love him, he doesn't throw the ball very well at this point in his career. Mike Vick was going up against just an atrocious pass defense in the Cardinals, so I figured it was a very safe pick. Vick was my safest start, and how very wrong I was. Vick breaks his hand, loses his top 2 wide receivers, one to a suspension and the other to an injury in the first quarter of the game, and proceeds to put 1 point together for my team while Tom Brady puts 27 up and Tim Tebow would have put 20. Just very bad decision on my part. Mario Manningham, I was debating between him and Stevie Johnson. Decided to go with Stevie Johnson because he's the definite number 1 in Buffalo. Didn't work out for me, and a very disappointing showing from the Ravens defense against the Seattle Seahawks. That was probably the most surprising thing for me, was just to see how just the Ravens laid a complete egg against the Seahawks there, and really doomed my team. Thanks to Hedgie, though, with this loss, I don't lose any ground because the guy I'm chasing also lost his game, Kevin, and I'm just back to square one, except for instead of down by 2 with 4 weeks to go, I'm down by 2 with 3 weeks to go. Around the NFL, decent bit of news on the injury front. A lot of guys went down last week with injury that some players could ill afford to see go down. Matt Schaub out for Kevin, not an option anymore. Not a good thing when Matt Stafford has just got off of a game where he had a minor fracture in his hand and threw for 4 picks. Frank Gore went down. Bad news for Hedgie. Good news for Justin is that Michael Bush is still going to play because Run DMC is out. Mike just picked up AJ Green in a trade with me, and now it looks like AJ Green is going to be out this week. Obviously Big Ben is hurt. That's a bad thing for Mike, considering Big Ben is Mike's contingency plan for his trading away Drew Brees. Ahmad Bradshaw's still out for BG, so he's going to need Reggie Bush to continue his solid play. Really what I wanted to get to is around the DFL. There's just a ton of trade activity. I kind of got to show it on the rundown of the week's activity in last week's episode, but just really great to see all those last minute. Those are basically our trade deadline deals that happened. Great move for Mike to get AJ Green. Had a lot of depth to his team with guys like Jeremy Maclin and Rob Gronkowski. We'll see if Big Ben is able to pick up the slack that is obviously going to be left behind with Drew Brees leaving. Allen really did a great job upgrading his team at quarterback. That was probably, as we've already documented, his weakest position, and this is the second time Allen has made a trade to upgrade at the quarterback position, and both times it was a really good move. So just makes Allen all the more deadly. I made a couple of trades. I had to give away AJ Green, but I really like LeGarrette Blount. I thought that he was a guy who I like his schedule going the rest of the season. I also had a trade in the works to have a contingency plan and get Stevie Johnson, so now for my third wide receiver position I can play a matchup game between Johnson and Manningham. Kind of liked what I did last week, so we're going to do it again. In case you're wondering what anybody, their waiver wire activity was, or what trades have happened, we'll show those right now. getting into the Week 11 slate of games, this should be a pretty exciting week. A lot of very, very pivotal games. I'd say quite a few guys, their season is on the line right now with only 3 games to play. Guys like especially me and Mike absolutely cannot afford to lose, and we're both playing a pretty tough game, so we'll get right to it. We'll open up with the loser bowl between Jared and Hedgie. Hedgie has a great shot here of opening up a 2-game win streak. As it stands right now, Santonio Holmes already played and he only got a paltry 3 points for Hedgie, but Jared has 2 players on a bye and 1 player still 1 roster spot left unfilled because he's gone and doesn't seem to have any desire to string together starting rosters. So I'd give Hedgie a definitive edge in this game, and congrats to him on hopefully picking up his 2nd win of the season. Mike's season is on the line this week when he heads to play BG. It's really do or die at this point for Mike. Even still, with Richard Mendenhall on a bye, BG having to plug and play Lance Ball, Mike's up-and-coming young running back Sean Green decided to put up a half-point dud. Not a good thing. With the Steelers on a bye, Mike has to start Alex Smith, who does have a favorable matchup against the Cardinals defense, but still, he's Alex Smith, so you just never know there. Going to be very tough to beat BG in this game, and I don't see Mike doing it. And with a loss, there's a good chance that Mike is just completely out of it. With a heavy heart predicting behind just a strong performance out of Aaron Rodgers and 1 or 2 other players, BG to roll past Mike and turn the hill that Mike has to climb to get into the playoffs into a mountain.